I can't breathe. Stop. No.
Oh, boy, I think she's actually hurt.
No, I think she is.
Yeah, she's hurt. She took a hard fall off there.
Okay.
Gosh, I hope she's okay.
I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Here we go. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. It is on Friday, November 21st. Kiddos, welcome in. We appreciate you watching and listening on whatever platform you watch and listen on. For the livers, that's what we're going to call you, the livers. Of course, you can always watch on X and YouTube and listen on the PuckSports mobile app. Download it to your smartphone today. It's available in the Android store and the iPhone or the App Store for your listening pleasure. For the, what do we call the, I don't know, the do it later guys? I don't know. That was terrible. The podcasters, it's up everywhere as well. The Daily Punch Up on YouTube. Just search Puck Sports. And then, of course, available on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple and Spotify. And you can find everything at pucksports.com, including holidays are almost here. Why don't you gift a Puck's Posse membership for a loved one? That's what your husband, your boyfriend, your wife, your girlfriend have been missing in their stocking stuffer. Puck's Posse membership. It only costs you $5 a month to get a discount if you sign up for a year. You support everything that we do here on the Daily Puck Drop. Plus, we give you bonus shows every single week. Thursdays with Mitch Levy, KJ Arntz, and our Wednesday visits with Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times and our Inside Pitch offseason look at the Mariners. All right. We're coming to you via the Limback Lumber Studios. We couldn't do this show every single day without the support of Limback Lumber. So big thanks to Paul and the crew over there. Give them a call at 206-782-3487. Visit them at limbacklumber.com. They are going to take care of contractors. They're going to take care of do-it-yourselfers. They treat you one in the same, and they are going to be honest with you. They're going to be fair with you. They keep paper receipts. They've been doing it since 1930 there at Limback Lumber. You can also follow me on these social media platforms, by the way. Puck Sports everywhere except for TikTok. It's Puck_sports. On Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we are graced with one of the legends in journalism, the Silver Fox. Jim Moore joins us on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and he's brought to you by an army of broadcasters.
Yes, I am. Hey, Puck, Brian Turner, I want to thank him first and foremost at a clean streak in Oak Harbor and Bright Owl Lighting. You can have the nicest Christmas lights in your neighborhood, just like Jason Puckett. Brian Turner came down and put lights up there in Ballard on his house. They'll come all the way down to King County, depending on the size of the job. No ladders, no hanging over gutters, no hassles with untangling those Christmas cords. If you're like me, you just once Christmas is over, you throw them in a box, and then the next year you go, why didn't I put those things together? You don't have to worry about that anymore. And most importantly, no dying. If you have Brian Turner from Bright Owl Lighting, come and do the job for you. For a free estimate, call 360-675-2034 or visit brightowllighting.com. You know what Brad Brotherton's doing at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning? He's watching the Cougs against James Madison. Why don't you stop and pay him a visit, though, at Brotherton Cadillac, Northwestern Shoreline, Brotherton Cadillac, and Brotherton Buick GMC in Renton. Fourth-generation family-owned hospitality makes all the difference. Visit them in person in Renton or Shoreline, or go to brothertonauto.com. And if you want to watch football this weekend or basketball, whatever you want to watch, if you like gluten-free menus, if you like the best brisket in town, go to the Angry Beaver in Greenwood. You'll love it. It's a hockey headquarters, too, for the Kraken games. A Coug favorite, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, as I mentioned. They'll have the game on at the Angry Beaver.
Okay, coming up on a Friday football tailgate show, which is always brought to you by Georgetown Brewery and Flat Stick Pub. We've got our handicapper, Troy Wins, coming up a little bit later in the program, followed by Friday Night Lights with Todd Milles from VarsityWaNews.com. The Last Word with Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times on all things Seahawks. But we start off every Friday show with the PME Show. And ladies and gentlemen, joining us as he always does is Chris Egan from King 5. And no, that is not a pickleball court that you are seeing in terms of where he goes and buys a membership. Apparently, that is one of Egan's friends down in the South End. That's their backyard.
Well, Puck, can you hear me okay here? We're in remote areas of Puyallup. You guys got me all right?
Yeah. We hear you fine.
Okay.
I would assume wherever you're at, he has his own personal Wi-Fi satellite and beacon there.
They're playing indoors right now. This is the outdoor court.
Jesus.
Brian and Heather, I got to give them a shout out. That's where I'm playing today. They just won a gold medal at the national championships in San Diego, and so we're playing today. And I said, guys, I got to take a break, 10 to 10:30. So I'm on the outdoor court right now. So this will be one of our new homes for Fridays, because I got to keep playing pickleball, gentlemen.
What's the guy do for a living anyway?
Yeah, what is he doing?
Well, I think you've heard me mention his place. He no longer owns it. He has recently sold it, but was the owner of Bumpy's Tavern in downtown Puyallup. So,
Jesus, the liquor business was pretty good there at Bumpy's. I mean, he's got if you're just listening to this and not watching this, Chris is outside at an outdoor pickleball, which is that 2 courts or 1 court?
That's just one court. One court.
Okay, that's just 1 court, but it's in like a barn-like structure. It's massive. There are TVs out there, and now you're telling me he's got something that's also inside?
And you two would love it, because the indoor court is crimson and gray, because they're Washington State Cougars. So,
okay.
Does he want to sponsor Puck Sports? He sounds like he's got the money for it.
Well, he's traveling a lot, playing a lot of pickleball tournaments.
Fine.
So.
He can make up whatever he wants it to be brought to you by. Brian, and what's the wife's name?
Heather. Great couple.
Brought to you by Brian and Heather. What do they have to sell?
Fellow Cougs.
Fellow Cougs, helping Cougs.
I will say this, gentlemen, and I've talked about pickleball with you two for, I feel like, a decade now.
Good
but
Lord.
we've become really good friends with them, and the friendship was made on a pickleball court in the YMCA. And 10 years later, we're playing 2 to 3 times a week, and we got, there's a bunch of good buddies in there playing right now. So we got
Chris,
Jake.
Chris, let's be honest here, and Jim knows this. You're friends with Brian and Heather because of the money. We all know.
No.
Right,
I need my workout. I need my workout. We got Thanksgiving. We got Thanksgiving coming up, guys.
If Brian and Heather did not have,
subject.
Hold on. If Brian and Heather, Jim, you know this. If Brian and Heather didn't have an outdoor and indoor pickleball court, Mr. TV here would have no time for him.
No, untrue, because they play at my house as well. So I bring them over to the Egan house.
Yeah, but your house doesn't look like this, Egan.
It kind of does to me when I see the background with Charlie or Curly or whatever the hell his name is running around. It looks like Egan's doing pretty well too. King TV must have a good payroll there.
Jim, it could get different. This could be a first on Puck Sports, podcast history. There's a buck that's working his way around me eating some pears. So I don't see him right now, but we could have a large buck that just scrolls in behind me here. And if we get that, I'm going to get out of the way and zoom in for you guys. So.
Is that does he have a TV in the background there off your right shoulder?
Yeah, because when you're playing pickle, you usually have 5. And so the 5th one, has to have something to do while you're watching. So.
Well, okay, Chris, has pickleball
Lord.
officially taken over as being more popular than tennis? And the other thing that occurred to me, like I want to get into pickleball because I'm old, and that's what old people do is play pickleball because they can't play tennis anymore. But I got to admit that it's weird to me because when I was growing up, and probably when you guys were growing up, tennis courts on a nice day were packed.
Yeah.
And yet you had to wait to get a court. And now you drive by tennis courts and they're vacant, they're empty. And I think it's because of the pickleball craze.
Let me go
hear the people turning off this podcast right now.
No, they're turning it on, Puck, because Picklewood is just open. It's just opened up in the Soto area. That is Ethan Stoll is part of that. There's been 3 clubs opening up in the area, so it's not going anywhere. Jim, to answer your question, tennis is still going on, but pickleball just continues to boom, and that is without a youth movement yet. So I've told this when they figure out how to get the youth involved, good night. It's over. I mean, it
Okay,
takes
well,
over.
let's go back to Puck because he's got something more interesting he wants to talk about.
Yeah,
Whatever the hell that is. What is it? What do you want to talk about? That's so interesting.
Well, one, I'd like you to fix your microphone because it sounds like you're in a freaking hallway.
My mic does?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just terrible.
It's brand new. My mic's brand new.
I don't know what you're doing over there. For the love of God.
It's brand new.
You just figure it out. Figure. We're past it now, Jim. We're just past it.
I sound that bad with this microphone?
Yeah, well, maybe you're too far away. Yeah,
you sound good to me, Jim.
Is that better right there?
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's
good.
now I'm in.
All right, but then you're going to be making some comment about my microphone looking like a penis. And go ahead. I'll get ahead of you.
I don't think it looks like a black penis at all. I don't think it.
It sounds good, Joe.
Your thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, no.
I
want to see pictures
awesome.
of the rest of the house. What I want to see. This thing looks like a mansion out there.
Well, it's just good. It's good country. We're on the good country.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Hey,
Pierce
did you
County.
know? Hey, Egan, did you know Jim Moore's now accepting payment in bribes at Jim Moore, the go-to guy.substack.com. Are you a Jim Moore subscriber at Jim Moore, the go-to guy.substack.com? You want me to give you his latest pitch to sign up? Because I don't know if you get a pitch like this, I don't know how all of us don't sign up. Because I've been a member from day one, by the way. But Jim's last social media post, you want to pay $5 a month for some quality journalism? ? No? Okay. How about $5 a month for some so-so journalism? No? Okay. How about $5 a month for nothing resembling journalism? If so, come on down. That's what I'm talking about.
He's honest. He's brutally honest. And I may get some of those Puckett posse member stocking stuffers for the family.
Sure.
That's a good idea.
Well, and you can not only do that, but you can give someone a Jim Moore, the go-to guy.substack.com.
That's what every kid wants. Do you think every kid's going up to their dad right now and going, Daddy, I want to be a Puck's posse member in the worst way?
Yeah. Yes, I think so. Oh my God, I'm a posse member. I got a subscription to Jim Moore, the go-to guy. Yes, I think that's what everybody wants at this time of year.
I felt sheepish about that, though, Chris.
No,
I did. I felt sheepish. Well, I did.
Jim, it's time to though. We need to ask you because I need to get into it because I'm here to work off weight. But Puckett and I have looked at it. My sister last night unveiled the Thanksgiving menu for the Egan family.
So many question marks. Jim, I'm going to share this with you. What his sister has sent him.
Go ahead and share it if you got it there, Puckett.
I'll give it. Go ahead. Give me 1 second here.
I saw it last night, and there were a couple of interesting items that you would not normally see on a Thanksgiving dinner.
A couple.
Well, there were two that stood out to me. I mean, there's only two that stand out.
So on the list that Egan's sister has sent Chris. It's appetizers, turkey, ham, stuffing, cheesy mashed potatoes and gravy, sweet potatoes, Brussels sprouts, rolls, cranberries, pickles and olives, pizza, pumpkin pie, pecan pie. Jim, where do you want to start first with some questionable decisions?
Well, no, I like everything on that menu, and I think I'd be stuffing myself, silly crazy if I was over there for that kind of dinner. But Brussels sprouts definitely stood out because you don't really want anything healthy.
No.
And people don't really like Brussels sprouts. Although if you cook them right, if you roast them and put garlic on them or whatever, they're pretty good.
A little bacon on them.
Yeah, let's push back because no one liked Brussels sprouts when we were growing up. Because our parents boiled them.
True.
That's why they never roasted them.
You got to roast them.
Put bacon on it. Yeah. So they're good now. But so Jim, you have no problem with that list.
Well, Jim,
pizza especially. That's what stood out to me the most.
I'm
wondering if is it just for the kids or is it for everyone?
I'm going to be honest, Jim. I think this is genius, and I'm 52, and I can't believe we waited this long because my youngest really is not a big Thanksgiving fan. He just isn't a big turkey eater. He doesn't love the mashed potatoes. but he loves pizza. And I showed him this morning. He was fired up about going to Aunt Jenny's house for Thanksgiving, knowing that he's going to get a couple slices of pizza. So I'm just like,
Okay.
I mean, I know that's why I'm like, it's just, I mean, this is tradition. But is she throwing a full curveball on this tradition here by adding pizza?
What kind of pizza? Is it a special Thanksgiving pizza, or are we doing like a normal?
Well, my
cheese and
dad,
pepperoni.
we text this out. My dad wants to put duck on the pizza.
Okay, now Jesus, is your dad been drinking?
That might be good though, Puck.
Have you ever had duck before, Puck?
I have. I don't know if I never said to myself, I'd like to have the Peking duck on a pizza, but I guess I'll try.
Oh, I don't know what type of pizza. I got to call her today and find out more about this pizza. But it's just been intriguing to me that you can have pizza, a slice of pizza at Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay,
I've never.
So the first couple of things that stood out to me.
Okay,
Let me just. I'm going to start from the top and I'm going to work my way down.
All right.
It's Thanksgiving. Why are we putting a ham on there?
Ham's great. What?
Not on Thanksgiving.
I
Yes,
saw that
it is.
too.
A honey baked ham.
That's
Come on,
Christmas.
Puck.
That's
It's
Christmas.
More of a
That's
Christmas Eve. More of a Christmas Eve.
Thanksgiving. You don't sit up there and do the speech and then get the knives out and say, we're carving up the ham on
God,
Thanksgiving.
you know what? I think ham is unfairly maligned, and it's been
I
that
love
way for
ham.
years.
I love ham. I prefer ham. It's not on Thanksgiving.
Disagree.
Out. Okay. Well,
Disagree. I like the idea of having all those variety of potatoes, though.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm not a yam guy, though. Yams just make me ill to think about them. But I know
I'm
a
a
lot of people
cheesy.
do like them.
I love cheesy mashed potatoes, by the way. And by the way, my mother-in-law, just so you know, anybody listening here that wants the best mashed potatoes, she just dumps a ton of butter and mayo in it and then uses the old school hand mixer. And oh my God, it's good.
mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise and butter.
Oh.
Just, oh my God, it's so creamy, so good.
Mayonnaise too.
Yeah. Oh,
Never heard of that, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I like the triple threat of mashed potatoes. I'm all in on that. I got no
Yeah.
problem with the mashed potatoes and the sweet potatoes. But I
was just going to ask Puck, at what age are we too old on the mashed potatoes to build the Crater Lake? You know, where you
Never.
then you fill the gravy in on it.
Jim, I would say never.
Never. I like the Crater Lake reference, though. That's good.
Because it is. That's exactly. I mean, I think that's the greatest thing in the world. Now the stuffing. Are we in the bird or out of the bird?
Oh, it's got to be in the bird, coming out of the bird. Yeah. I love to even just take the fork and go into the bird and get the stuffing out of it.
That's what gets you sick on the toilet at night.
I've been there before.
We get to the cranberries. Are we doing can or like the real deal? 'Cause I like the can. I'm a big can guy.
Most people go real deal from now on, but I'm with you, Puck. I like the can. I like to slice it up a little bit.
Yeah. Here's the thing before we get to pizza. Jim, I'm a little confused. Pickles and olives?
Well, that probably goes with the appetizers.
Yeah. But you skipped the biggest one, I think, Puck, that people...
Rolls?
Rolls. Here's the question. You get to a lot of these Thanksgiving dinners and there's always the homemade roll makers. But really, is there anything better than a King's Hawaiian roll?
No.
I do
no,
love
that's
a
so
King's
fun
roll.
to open that plastic bag and then slide out those dozen that are all together and you just break them apart.
Yeah, why overlook that? Just get the King's Hawaiian rolls. You go to some of these and they're making these fancy hard rolls that are just awful. And you've got to, if you're hosting Thanksgiving, please get the butter out early. There's nothing worse than hard butter on your roll. I like a nice soft
You need
butter.
a nice soft limp butter.
Yes.
I like the King Hawaiian rolls because then you can really roll them up. You can mash them up and make them almost like a little ball, and you just pop those in, and they're the best. Have you gone to like the post practice party where the mom has invented this idea? Probably saw it on Instagram or Pinterest where they take out the whole sheet and then do one big slice down the middle of the King Hawaiian bread, and then lay all the the fixings on the sandwich, then put it back on, and then cut it up.
No.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
Yeah, baseball mom came up with that someplace when she was hopped up on Pinot Gris and stopped paying attention to Game Changer.
Oh,
and invented that. That's a game changer. That literally game changer. That is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do see some concerns still on this list, Puck, though. I know we're working our way down.
Sure. Pizza, I don't understand the pizza, but the pumpkin, what I don't like, it's plural pumpkin pies, but only one pecan pie.
And no, and I'm going to be honest, I love a nice raspberry pie. I don't see a
Raspberry.
I don't see a fruit. I'm not a huge pumpkin pie. Pecan, I've never enjoyed that pie ever.
Oh, I love that.
I think it's the worst.
You don't like pecan pie?
I think it's the worst pie ever made. I don't even think you should call it a pie. It's a bag of nuts. You're eating
whatever's under the pecans, though. What is that? That gelatin? It's just like straight sugar.
It's sugar and butter.
Yeah, it's like it's like a soft almond roca pie. I've never enjoyed it. Give me a raspberry.
What the hell is a raspberry?
Do you think we just have pumpkin pies because it's a tradition? It seems like a lot of people don't really like pumpkin pies.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you love it? You need whipped cream on it, though, don't you?
Oh, yeah. You need whipped cream on everything.
Yeah, you need a lot of whipped cream on the pumpkin pie. And they're only like $4 at Costco. Literally, by the way, I was at Costco yesterday. It was like 12 o'clock. Do not go to Costco at noon. It's like senior center day. And there's just old people like zombies walking around and they have nothing in their carts. Absolutely nothing in their carts. And they're just going from sample area to sample area. And I'm like, I told my wife, why are we here? I mean, it's just...
Hey, speaking of the sample thing,
leave old people alone.
Yeah, I'm with Jim on this one. What do you have against What do you have against people like Jim?
And one more thing for the old people going to Costco, when you put your card in, just keep moving. They stop all of a sudden, and then they're blocking the entrance.
But I don't
keep going.
But I don't.
52, man. You're not too far away from being old like us.
But I don't.
You're gonna be that guy with the cart too someday.
I don't like the new entry policy at Costco. I just want to show my card and move on. I don't want to put it in or do with all that other stuff.
You don't want to swipe it?
Speaking of the samples, is there some type of age restriction on the samples? Because I got into this a couple of weeks ago. I was there with the vampire Owen and his buddy. We were walking. They were with me, and they're there. Now we're gonna go walk around and look for samples while you go shop. I'm like, all right. So then they come back like 10 minutes later, and they're like, oh, well. I go, why are you guys back so soon? Oh, we couldn't get any samples. I'm like, what do you mean? They wouldn't let us. They said we had to be. They said we had to be with a parent. So I said,
I've
where?
never heard that before.
I said, where? And they're 12 and 13. I said, what? Where? There was like the guy that's doing that. What's the fancy chocolate? Dubai chocolate. You know about that, Egan, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I go, that guy. So I walk over. I said, what's going on here? Why can't they not get any samples? Well, they need to be with a parent. I go, that's not a rule. There's no rule here that they. Well, so yeah, there is.
So you were standing there when you were asking him the question. They're with a parent now, so give him the damn chocolate, pal.
He'd already put it away. So our working theory was he wanted to wrap it up, and he was putting it away, and they came over to get it, and he just made up something.
It makes no sense.
Age requirement for samples? Come on.
It makes no sense. A 13, 14-year-old can't have a sample, and you got some 94-year-old in an undergarment pooping in his pants, and he's grabbing everything. So, I mean,
the shots at old people today.
He got, what if the old folks just
My mom's 96. I'm offended. I'm personally offended, and I demand an apology.
Oh, Lord.
God. Jesus.
Hey, Egan,
you're 16 years away from being my age, pal. That's going to be you. You're going to have, let me see your hair. Take that hat off for a second. Let me see that hat. Let me see that head of hair.
It's all sweaty. It's all sweaty right now.
Yeah.
Hey, Egan, mine here pretty soon.
Egan, you're not much of a better Egan, but your Seahawks favored by 13.5 against the Titans. Did you know? I know Jim knows this, and I know our handicapper Troy Wins, who's coming up, knows this as well. Seahawks best team in the NFL of covering spreads. You know who the worst team is? The Titans. You tell Brian and Heather All that money that they got over there, put it on the
Yeah.
Seahawks.
Put it on the Hawks. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, can you even tell me one player on the Titans?
Well,
Yes.
yeah,
Cam
one.
Ward.
Well, just what you give me 2 or 3.
That's it. That's
Oh, you asked
honestly.
for one.
I know one player. That's it.
That's all.
Oh, good
That's
point.
all we
though.
got. No, I don't know how they don't cover that spread. So, but
Yeah,
what's scary, what's scary to me is all of a sudden just back in the mix is the 49ers and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy looked pretty good last week. So here they come. So it's gonna be a fun ride down the stretch for this team for sure.
I said this to Garofolo, and he disagreed, but yeah, whatever. What does he know? If they get in the playoffs through the Niners, Kyle Shanahan's the coach of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, with all the
He
injuries
disagrees.
they've had.
He says Mike Vrabel is right now the runaway coach of the year. But which I get it. He's done a great job, but come on, man. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's unbelievable.
To have them in that position right now for what they've had to do, yeah, it's pretty impressive. It really is. So,
all right, where you're not doing any coverage, right?
we do. No, we have one. The final big game is tonight.
Oh.
Final big game.
Not invited again.
No, we don't. We're not streaming because it's on their state, and so we had to pre-qualify. So it's just a big game. So I'm doing the pregame and the postgame. But it's the Lakes Lancers who. How about this last week, guys? Lakes played Liberty. Great game. Dave Miller at Lakes been coaching since 1979. Steve Ballack has been at Liberty for 27 years. Just two great coaches. Liberty scores with 6 seconds to go. They decide to go for 2. And then Lakes gets a timeout and ends up stopping the running back on the 1-yard line. But I give credit, Steve Ballack, an incredible coach. They'd been running the ball well. They went for the win. But what a sign of an incredible coach to me is they were on that field at Harry Lang Stadium, the Liberty team, for probably 45 minutes after the game, just in the middle of the field. Kids are crying, and you can't thank some of these coaches that do a good job enough for just the heart and soul they put into these things, because you realize at that point, that is it. That's it for 99% of those kids. Their high school career comes to an end, and it will come to an end for everybody at some point. So I can't thank Steve enough for what he's done, and Dave Miller. And Dave now, the Lakes Lancers, that will be our big game. They head to Bellevue to take on Michael Knipe and the Wolverines. So that will be our big game tonight. And then there's a lot of.
Are you going to be there?
Yeah, I'll be there all night tonight. So
I'm going to come by and say hello. We're taking the little 12-year-old over there to watch that tonight.
It is honestly the only game on the west side tonight. There's one game on the east side. All the other games are going to be tomorrow, and there's going to be. I'm sure Todd will talk about them, but there's going to be some phenomenal battles tomorrow, including which I think is going to be the game of the year in Tacoma is Lincoln at Mount Tahoma tomorrow night at 7:30. So, and then you got volleyball. State championships taking place, soccer's taking place, and those all start today. So good luck to all the kids out there. So going to be fun.
Good luck to you and the rest of your pickleball adventures.
I'm going to go hit. I was trying to see if Heather and Brian wanted to come out and show off their gold medals.
Well, you tell Heather and Brian to show off the wallet to Puck Sports. How about that?
Will do. Gentlemen, have a great Thanksgiving. Puck, maybe we'll see you tonight in Bellevue.
Will do. See you, Chris.
Love you, Chris.
Right,
see you later.
All right, love you guys.
There's another edition of the PME Show with Chris Egan. King 5 news. Big game. King 5 big game of the week. Lakes taking on Bellevue tonight over there in Bellevue. Wow, he take a lot of shots. Old people today.
God, did he ever?
Jesus.
What's the matter with Egan?
I can see you did not agree with the Seahawks take. 13.5-point favorites over the Tennessee Titans. Let's see what our handicapper thinks. Troy Wins. TroyWins.com joins us here on this Friday. Hi, Troy. How are you?
I'm bummed out. I had a question for Egan.
My fault.
That's okay. Next week, maybe. I don't know if you guys have heard, but the Bothell Moses Lake game last week, 17-14, I heard was a fixed game. Not a lot of happy people about that one.
Is it coming from the one side that lost the game?
It is, but it is interesting. I was curious Egan's thoughts. The game was played in Moses Lake, and there was a mom out here in Bothell that did so much homework that 4 out of the 5 reps were Moses Lake alumni, and one was a teacher at Moses Lake. So I was curious if you can thought on that.
I guess my thought would be have a better record, have home field advantage, so you can cook the game yourselves.
True. That is true. That is true. Fixed games happening everywhere, guys. It's sad. Even high school now shaving points. It's getting crazy.
Yeah. Well, I've heard about that story. I think there's a little bit more to it, but
I'm curious. I did went back and watched it. It was a bogus holding call, though. I got to say that.
Well,
but
missed calls
that's
happen.
All right. They happen. They happen. They do.
We could do high school lines for this week if we want. I mean, that might be a little aggressive, but
take Lake Stevens minus the points every week.
Take Lake Stevens in every game. They're freaking them and Puyallup, absolute juggernauts. All right. Troy Wins is with us. TroyWins.com. Quickly tell everyone, when they go to the website, what are they going to get? They're asking, if I give Troy some money, what kind of advice am I going to get when they go to the website, TroyWins.com?
Yeah, we've really stepped up our game even from where we were, guys. We have a guy designated now strictly to the prop betting game. So get to our Instagram. We give out a free prop every day. We cover absolutely everything, guys. Hockey, basketball, NBA, college basketball, you name it, we cover it. Guys, we almost had the 20-point underdog outright yesterday. We sprinkled a little money line with Troy over USC. I don't know if you saw the end of that game. USC won at the buzzer, double overtime, half-court shot. But we're covering at a really high rate right now, guys. It's TroyWins.com. Definitely follow us on Instagram. It's Troy West.
Okay, let's get through these games. Jim's got to go. He's got to bail on us. So let's get through the games as fast as we can. College football, Oregon taking on USC. Ducks favored by 10.5.
I'm rolling with the Ducks here. I just think they're the more complete team. They're at home. They play so much better at home. Give me the Oregon Ducks minus the points. I like them in Eugene. If this was in the Coliseum, maybe different. I like the Ducks.
Tennessee, Troy, they're on the road, and they're given 4.5 at Florida.
Yeah, this is a light line here. Florida, to me, is kind of looking ahead to next year. Who's the new coach coming in? Tennessee's still a lot to play for. Give me the Volunteers. They go into the swamp and handle business.
Okay, Cougs on the road taking on James Madison, 10 a.m. on ESPN Plus tomorrow. That's always a fun broadcast when you get the student radio guy on the call. Cougs getting 13.5.
I'll buy this thing to 14.5. Give me one more point to get that 14 and a hook, but I'll take the Cougs. This is the type of game it seems like they just get up for, and they've been pretty good on the road. I know they haven't gotten the wins on the road, but they competed at Virginia, obviously competed at Ole Miss. They'll compete at James Madison. I think the Cougs lose a tough one, 31-24, but I'll take the points.
Hey, Troy, this game in the Rose Bowl, the Huskies favored by 10.5. The Huskies, a horrible road team, by 10.5. Over UCLA. Troy wins. Don't they have the wrong team favored here?
No, they don't. UCLA has just been bad. They've been really bad. I know they had that little stint that everybody was so excited about. Jerry Neuheisel. Jerry Neuheisel's next to go. UCLA is in trouble this one. I think Nico does come back and play. He's coming off concussion protocol. But this is, I think, a bad spot for UCLA. They just have not been playing good. They're trying guys in new spots. I think the Huskies take care of this one, 31-17.
All right, let's go over to the NFL. Troy, Colts are getting 3.5 at Kansas City.
Yeah, they're disrespecting the Colts here. I still think this is one of the best teams in the AFC. I've been down on KC all year. I'll take 3 and a hook with Daniel Jones and the Colts. I think this is a close one, decided by a field goal. I'll take the Colts.
The Seahawks on the road in Nashville taking on the Titans, and they're favored by a whopping 13.5 points.
Yeah, for the right reasons. My only concern is, does this game have letdown written all over it? Is it a type of game that they go in and just coast and maybe win 21-10? But I'm taking the Seahawks in a big way. This Tennessee team's brutal. They lost Calvin Ridley for the year. He was really their only weapon. I like the Hawks 31-13.
All right, let's get to, we got one more game. Sorry. Rams are at home taking on the Bucks. Rams favored by 7.
I expect a shootout here. I expect Baker Mayfield to keep them in this game. 31-28 Rams, but I'll take 7 with the Bucks.
Okay, let's get to your lock of the week. Last week, you got it. You had West Virginia plus 10.5 against ASU. ASU won, but only by 2, so you got that one. What's your lock of the week this week?
I liked it, and we just got the news, so the line did climb a little bit, but Jackson Dart officially ruled out. When I gave you that pick, I wasn't sure he'd be out, but he is out. Loved it either way. Detroit Lions, they are so good off Dan Campbell losses. They are going to bounce back at home against the New York Giants. Love the Lions in a big way. They win this one 31-13. I'll take the Lions minus 10. It did go up. I still like it at that 11.5, 12 line.
Go-to guy, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to go against you guys. I don't care what you think. I'm going to take the Titans in 13.5. There's a stat out there that says something about a home underdog of 2 touchdowns in the NFL that they're like 18-2 against the spread. I know that there's a stat out there that says that. But Vegas adjusts these lines eventually. And the Seahawks, what? You said they're the best team against the spread. The Titans
are the worst team against the spread.
Okay, at some point, things shift. They adjust. Okay. This is that point. The Seahawks aren't going to win by 2 touchdowns on Sunday.
Okay. All right. Well, how about that, guys? Hometown guy picking against your team.
Oh, yeah. The Seahawks can still win, and everybody can be happy, and the Titans cover. Is that all right?
And all the Seahawks fans that are putting money on the Seahawks, and this guy right here is rooting against you.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
What do you think, Troy?
I don't know. I was thinking, Jim.
Troy, come on.
JimWins.com. It looks like you upgraded your microphone in your studio, so I figured you were winning. I don't know. I don't like this one, Jim.
Yeah, money's doing well. I'm going to take this line just because it's so ridiculous that I want to take it because it's funny. Georgia's at home. Take it on Charlotte. Charlotte's 1-9. The line is 44.5. The Bulldogs minus 44.5 against Charlotte as my lock of the week. What? Troy. Yeah, why not? Troy, one more time. TroyWins.com. Give everyone the pitch.
I know you got to go, but before this is funny. Yesterday, I was sitting there, I was having a margarita, and the lines came across the bottom, and LSU was favored by 62.5 yesterday, college basketball. And so we got on our app and we took Winthrop plus 62.5. They lost 112-49. They lost by 63. Women's game? Women's game.
Yeah. 63, they were that close on it?
The line was, look it up. They were 62.5 point favorites and won by 63.
It sure seems like you drink a lot, Troy. Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's an unfair shot at
that
Troy.
Is a cheap shot.
How about last night, the Bills game? That line was 4.5.
I know.
And the total was 44.5, and they had 36.5.
Yep, I know. They're landing right on that. These guys are good. They are good.
One more time, TroyWins.com.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Best way to follow us is Instagram. It's Troy West. The website is TroyWins.com. Truly believe we're a one-stop shop. Very affordable. We're constantly giving away free plays on our Instagram. It's Troy West.
All right, we'll see you. Thanks, Troy. We'll adjust the schedule. Probably won't do it next week, but we'll get with you and figure out something on that short holiday week. But best to you and the family. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks. See you, Jim. You too, guys.
Yeah, take care, Troy.
You know what I was thinking about? I saw a commercial here real quick yesterday on television that apparently the Wheel down in Seattle is doing a Thanksgiving dinner on the Wheel. Would you want to have a Thanksgiving dinner on the Seattle Wheel? That doesn't sound and look appetizing to me, but you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to go to one of these casinos, these sports book, and have a Thanksgiving dinner inside the sports book. That would be fun.
No, that would be great. I think a lot of people will be doing that. Going to a sports
probably,
book. Yeah, but I wouldn't like. I've never wanted to get on a Ferris wheel and have Thanksgiving going up and down.
No, like it did not look good. I know. All right, we'll see you on Monday. We'll do short shows next week, probably Monday, Wednesday, and then we'll be off. Maybe we won't do one Wednesday. I don't know. We're going to set our own schedule, but we will be back on Monday, and I'll talk to you after the weekend. So have a great weekend. Go Cougs.
Okay, Puck. Go Cougs. Thanks, man.
Yep, there he is. Jim Moore with us Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, brought to you by an army of advertisers. Brad Brotherton, Brotherton Cadillac, Angry Beaver, big thanks to Matt Baker, and Brian Turner, Bright Owl Lighting, and also a clean streak. Our Friday football tailgate show continues. All brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, also Flat Stick Pub. On a Friday, we catch up with Todd Milles, Varsity WA News for Friday Night Lights, get you updated on the quarterfinals of football action across the state. Few games taking place tonight, a lot of the games taking place tomorrow, and then it's the last word with Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, as we find out the latest on the injury front with Grey Zabel, Tory Horton, Sam Darnold, the rebound for Sam after the tough loss last week against the Rams in their matchup coming up with the Titans on Sunday. At Flat Stick Pub, it doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com.
Jones right up the middle, touchdown, Eastside Catholic. Rolling out is Cobb. Now he goes back. It's intercepted.
Oh, my goodness. And it
on the way.
Fast.
Jason Wilson could go. Yes. Touchdown, Irish. Rolling to the near side.
He's keeping it. He's in.
And he's in for the touchdown. Leo.
9, 8, 7, Moser. Has to go. 2 seconds. He puts it forward.
It's that time. It's Friday. It's Friday Night Lights with Todd Milles, Varsity Wad News, varsitywadnews.com. Of course, our coverage all brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. Here on this Friday, we are down to the quarterfinals in the state football playoffs, and Todd is here to break it all down here on this Friday. If you are not a subscriber to varsitywadnews.com, what are you doing? Get that card out right now. And if you like great high school football coverage, and it's just not football coverage, there's volleyball coverage. It's all of high school sports. Todd does an amazing job at varsitywadnews.com. Complete, thorough, expanding coverage of all high school sports. He's got a podcast as well, Varsity Wad News, which you can see on YouTube. Also, you can hear it on all podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, give him a follow on social media, Varsity Wad News, and Todd's personal X account, Mini Hats Mills. All right, Todd, we're down to it. Quarterfinals of high school football action get underway here. A few games tonight, majority of the games coming up on Saturday. I want to get a preview of all the 4A and 3A bracket, maybe sneak in the 2A look. Let's first start with something that you talked about on your midweek podcast with Coach Eric Curley, or maybe it was the last week, the recap on Friday night with the Glacier Peak head coach. There's been some confusion, right? There's been a rule that's been changed in the WIAA that I think a lot of head coaches have been confused by. For our listeners and viewers who are like, I don't know what you're talking about, explain what the changes that the WIAA made during these football playoffs.
Yeah, so in the early days of the seeding, if you were let's just use the 16-1 because people can relate to that. If a 16 seed went to a 1 and upset a 1 on its home field, you inherited the seed. So essentially, you were the number 1 seed. If you could post an upset against the number 1 team, you became the number 1 team. So you enjoyed all the benefits of that. You got to host as long as you were alive. And so it same thing for the 15 against the 2 and the 14 versus a 3. And that's not just football, Jason. That was in all sports that followed this state playoff format. Now, at the end of the 23-24 season, the WI sat down and said, okay, this is a little contradictory to how people in their districts run tournaments, in their league tournaments. So they wanted some uniformity and voted to change the rule to say, hey, if you're a 14 seed for the playoffs, that's what you are the whole time. So you don't get to inherit anybody's seed. You have to go on the road as long as a 14 seed would. So basically, they changed the rule to if you're the higher seed, you get to host whatever the matchup is.
Yeah, all right.
So it makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
I don't know how well it was communicated. I did not know the rule was changed. Now, coaches in other sports, because it doesn't happen very often in football, coaches in other sports knew that. But apparently the Glacier Peak coach didn't know. And I can tell you, I was at Sumner after they beat Richland. They knew Glacier Peak, the 13 had beaten a 4, so they assumed that the Glacier Peak was now the 4 seed. So they were telling their guys, hey, we're going to go to Glacier Peak. It's been a great run at home, la-di-da-di-da. And, the old sports writer here said, hey, guys, no, that rule was changed and went into effect last year. So you guys get to unexpectedly host a game next week in the quarterfinals. So that sent them into a celebration frenzy. Shane Keck at Glacier Peak, he's on the State Coaches Association board, and he said he didn't know that. He had to get clarity from the WIAA. I don't know how well it was communicated. I know maybe something in small print is written on the bracket, but again, how well it was publicized, I don't know. I didn't know about it. A lot of coaches didn't know about it, and it sort of created some confusion.
Well, if you didn't know about it, I have a hard time thinking that it was properly communicated to the coaches.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just my 2 cents.
I mean, there are so many transactions on the WIA with legislation and things that are changed by the executive board that, might have got lost in the fine print. But I would expect, somebody on the Football Coaches Association board to know the rules. And if he said he didn't know or he needed clarity from the WIA, it probably wasn't communicated very well and publicized by the media very well. So I'll take a little responsibility for that.
Well, you should. I mean, really, when it ultimately comes down to, like all things right now in society, Todd, it is the media's fault.
I take full responsibility.
All right, let's get to the brackets. Let's start first here with the 4A. And because we're down to the quarterfinals, I think we can go through every single game here. Let's just start with what you've talked about. You and Eric Curley talked about this week on the midweek Varsity Law News podcast. I would encourage everyone to give it a listen. He talks to the former Graham Kapowski head coach Eric Curley every week. Matt Evans, who does the rating system there that he has on every week, and then also you have the Olympic running back who was just setting all kinds of records, over 2,000 yards. Just a phenomenal guy. It was a great interview, just a very humble kid, and I really enjoyed listening to that. And this is the game of the week, right? Gonzaga Prep at home, and they welcome in Graham Kapowski. This should be the headliner game of the weekend.
I think it's going to be the best weekend in any of the classifications, Jason. It's Graham Kapowski with AJ Tuivasa, the big arm, the big passing game. 3 or 4 really good receivers. Against the triple option of Gonzaga Prep with all those seniors. It's interesting for a triple option team. Gonzaga Prep secondary is pretty good, so I don't think it's as big a mismatch as you might think. And on the same token, I think GK's run defense has proven to be pretty stout with how they kind of controlled the Kennedy Catholic wing T offense last week. O'Day's veer offense in week 1. I think it's a little bit better than people might think. So the inherent advantages of what the offense versus the defense that each school runs maybe isn't in play here. I think it's maybe how each team does in their secondary part of their offense, like how GK runs the ball against a smaller, Gonzaga Prep defensive front, and how well Gonzaga Prep can throw out of the triple option, which Sam Kincaid has done. He's 22 touchdown passes. He's had a phenomenal year, and he's got some really good perimeter athletes. Again, I think this is a game that's going to come down to the wire. I picked Gonzaga Prep because of its seniors and being at home, but it would not surprise me if the Eagles, who are playing really, really well, they're coming off their best game of the year, go over there and post the upset. Again, I think on paper, this is easily the best game of the 4 in 4A and possibly the best game in all of the classifications.
Yeah, you and Eric Curley, I think, just did a great job, I think, on the Wednesday show of breaking it down. I mean, Gonzaga Prep runs a very unique offense. You just don't see it a lot. Hardly any teams run that anymore in that option, that triple option offense. And it's hard to defend, but Graham Kapowski's had some history of O'Day, seeing Kennedy, of those run first offenses. We'll see if that benefits them. This should be a great game. You wrote about it, and I think what you said in this preview of Lake Stevens and Moses Lake is both undefeated teams. Moses Lake is Brady J. He has set all these records. It has been a phenomenal season for the Mavericks there of Moses Lake. But as you wrote, this is a step up in competition. I have witnessed the Lake Stevens machine on the junior football circuit, and it extends all the way up to the high school. This is one of the, if not the best run program in the state, and this is going to be a monumental task for Moses Lake coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, it's a speed mismatch, Jason. If you haven't seen Blake Moser or Javion Farrell, Those guys that they have outside, you just don't know how fast they are. Now, Brady J's fast too. I mean, he's really fast. He's a sub-11 second 100-meter runner, so he's not going to have any problems. Problem is that receiving core, as technically sound and as strong as they are, they're going to probably struggle to gain separation. So where is Brady going to throw the football? I expect them to run the ball a little more or try and run the ball a little more. I think a win for both teams. I think Lake Stevens rolls in this game. If Brady J can get a touchdown or two and tie or maybe break, Kellen Moore's single season touchdowns record, I think that'd be a win-win for both teams. Moses Lake, I never heard from Moses Lake, hey, we're going to win a championship this year. They just want to take steps and build this thing. And I think that's what Brett J and his staff have done over the last 4 or 5 years. But coming over here and taking on Lake Stevens, we know that's a championship. That's a team with championship pedigree. It's going to be a really, really tall task, especially on the Vikings home field where it's pretty dang crazy.
Yeah, it's one of the you've been up there, I've been up there. It is everything that you love about high school football, where the whole kind of community shuts down and comes to the game. That they've got that at Lake Stevens. I assume they've got that obviously at Moses Lake there as well. All right, coming up on Saturday, 2:00 at Sunset Stadium there in Sumner. Sumner, I feel has been, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, feels like they've kind of been laying in the weeds a little bit, maybe just because the season didn't start great for them. But here they are again in the quarterfinals, and they will host Glacier Peak coming up tomorrow. Who do you like in that game?
They're laying in the weeds because they're tired, Jason. Their path to this point has been so adventurous. No, Sumner's found itself. We've talked about that on this podcast before, but they're playing a team a lot like them in Glacier Peak. Big, strong team, physical. Physical running back, a slashing running back, and Isaiah Owens plays great defense. Their best defensive player just came back a couple weeks ago. Went over, got the win at Chiawana. If Sumner doesn't come and if Sumner's not sharp come Saturday, this is a team that could give them some fits just based on the way they play. They're two teams that if you looked in the mirror, they sort of resemble each other a little bit. So I think Sumner's got more firepower. They obviously have played a tougher schedule, but if Sumner's not sharp, Glacier Peak's the type of team that can squeeze the game and control the clock. It could be interesting the second half. I do think Sumner is playing too well for that to happen, but it's an interesting matchup of similar styles, and I hope Glacier Peak shows well again because that's a big win for that program last week at Chiawana.
Final game in the 4A bracket, the number one seed, and they've been the consensus kind of number one team all year long. The Puyallup Vikings will be at home against Skyline. We've talked a lot about Skyline, right, on and off the field. Are there chances for Skyline to pull off the upset coming up against Puyallup?
Probably not. I mean, I think, again, we've talked about that defense. Peyton Pelor bringing some of his college concepts. They might confuse the Puyallup offense. They might confuse Noah Smith. But I just don't. My question is how many points is Skyline capped at against Puyallup's defense? If Skyline, was able to get a couple turnovers and turn it into quick points, but you're going to have to score 30, 40 points to keep up with Puyallup. I don't see any team in the state keeping Puyallup under 40 points. So. If they have some magical offensive plan that they haven't shown yet this year, Jason, bring it out now, Skyline, because you're going to need it to move the ball and score points against this team because the Vikings, with all that firepower on offense and in the receiving core, they are going to score points and they have in every game this season.
It's a remarkable what they've done here in the last. They really have not been tested since the first game of the season. That was a 6-point win against Tumwater. I just want to read off the scores here for our audience real quick. They defeated Evergreen 48-14, Skyview 52-10, Emerald Ridge 54-0, Sumner 58-22. They blanked South Kitsap 60-0. Rogers of Puyallup 65-6, Curtis 45-0, Graham Kapowsin 43-14. Kamiak 77-0, Eastlake 52-7. I mean that is just pure dominance.
They just get off to fast. That's the thing is they get off to such quick starts. I mean they come out of the gates just rolling and firing, and it's they get people behind the 8 ball so early that it just kind of blows up the game plan. And if you're going to beat Puyallup, you better take the first couple uppercuts in the first quarter and kind of hang with them because nobody else has.
All right, let's go over to the 3A bracket. Let's start with the number 1 seed, and it's a surprise to many. It's the O'Day Fighting Irish tomorrow down at Renton Memorial Stadium. They'll be taking on, which has been a great story this year, Cedro Woolley. 2 great coaches in this game, and I believe I do believe this because I believe I read this at varsitywanews.com. This is the first time these 2 guys have ever gotten together on the same field to coach against each other.
Yeah, it was. I asked Monty, and it was a simple nope. Never faced them. That's interesting because both of these coaches have won multiple championships. We all know about Monty, all-time winningest coach, but Dave Ward won a state championship at Oak Harbor with Marshall Lobstall and won one at Cedro. Fantastic coach. Again, much like the games we've talked about in 4A with Moses Lake, this is a step up in competition for the Wesco champs. They're a really balanced, solid football team with a lot of seniors and a really good coach. This is like getting in the cage with the tiger, man. I don't see how Cedro is going to really have to shrink the game and again hope on some turnovers. Day has gotten off to a couple slow starts against Graham Kapowsen, against Seattle Prep this season, but they just got too much firepower and they're getting healthy. They have pretty much their whole defense back now, and I think Uriah Stringfield might be coming back. This week. He was hurt again a couple weeks ago, but this week or next week. So the Irish, unfortunately for everybody else, is getting healthy for the stretch run.
All right, the other game, we'll just move up the bracket. The 4 seed of Bellevue taking on Lakes, the 5 seed. 9-2 are the Wolverines. Dave Miller's been coaching for, I don't know, since I was in high school. It's like 30 years. It's unbelievable how long he's been coaching for. The Wolverines trying to get back to the championship game. Can Lakes get in their way?
Yeah, they got some good young talent. Again, this is another group that's beaten up by injuries. They've had a couple serious injuries in their offensive line. They're hoping a couple of their playmakers get back. Again, Jason, I think better days are ahead for Lakes because they return the nucleus, of this key group next year. But Bellevue's young too. They have a lot of sophomores, a really talented sophomore class. I just think the style and the belief by Bellevue and all that speed around the perimeter, I think they're going to create enough plays tonight at home. Lakes, I think will struggle to score, to be honest with you. But anything's possible. It surprised me that Dave Miller hadn't won a state playoff game since 2016 before last week when they pulled out a last-second win over Liberty on a 2-point conversion stop. But again, a little step up in class. Not the Bellevue team of last year. It could be an interesting game, but I picked Bellevue to win and roll on to the semis.
Okay. This should be a great game. I wore the Rainiers hat just for you. You being a Tacoma guy, living in Tacoma, I've got a lot of friends down there. This is going to be a great game on Saturday, 7:30 at Mount Tahoma Stadium. The pride of the entire city. One of these 2 schools is going to move on, represent the area in the semifinals. Lincoln, 8-3, the 10 seed against the number 2 seed, Mount Tahoma, which is undefeated this year.
Yeah, these 2 teams played earlier at Lincoln Bowl, and Mount Tahoma really controlled them, kind of hammered them, Jason. I think it was a 28-7 game. Really hammered Sione Kaho, one of the top prospects at quarterback in the Northwest. It was that loss that prompted Masaki Matsumoto and his staff to kind of look at what they were doing offensively. They've become a lot like Mount Tahoma, to be honest with you. They aim to run the football with Jadion Scranton and behind that young offensive line, and then let Sione Kaho make some plays and play action. They've kind of shrunk the game to protect their defense. Their defense has played really, really well, especially in their defensive line. That was a big win last week for them, going to Renton Memorial and beating Rainier Beach and kind of sewing up the game on a defensive touchdown. I don't think this game is going to be quite like it was 6 weeks ago at Lincoln Bowl. They're teams that are going to look very, very similar. Lincoln's got the win against them last year, so they know how to beat this team. I still think Mount Tahoma up front has a decisive advantage. This offense has been a little hit or miss. If they get off and running against Lincoln, I think this game is a decisive win for Mount Tahoma. But if it was a little like last week against Seattle Prep, where it was slow starting, man, who knows, man? The Abes have been there. But Mount Tahoma with their 26 seniors, I really believe in this group. I believe this is a team that can contend with the Metro schools. So I think they'll find a way to get past Lincoln and represent Tacoma moving forward.
Final game in the 3A bracket. These two teams, it feels like every year, and you talked about that out at varsitywanews.com, Todd, is that Eastside Catholic and Kennewick just seem to kind of always find each other in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to find two more physical teams, especially up front in the classification, than Eastside Catholic, Wasi Lugalobi. I think he's the best linebacker in the state. Teams just can't run on him. And that's what Kennewick aims to do. If this becomes a situation where Kennewick has to throw the football, I just don't see how. I just think that's bad news for the Lions. As much as I like Dominic Driver, he's a 2-year starting quarterback, and he can make some plays with his legs and his arm as well. But again, they want to run the football, control the clock, and play good defense. That's their MO. It's they've beaten Metro teams before, but I think the biggest mismatch in this game is Eastside Catholic getting some stuff in their pass game against this Kennewick secondary. That's how Kennewick has dropped a couple games. They've given up a few big plays in the secondary, and I think the Crusaders will find that come Saturday at home.
Todd, let's just quickly touch in. We're not going to do every game at two-way, but it just seems, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think looking at the bracket and how it's set up, right, we're going to, for football fans, you kind of want to fast forward to the championship game on December 6th. We expect to probably see Archbishop Murphy and Tumwater in that game.
I don't know about Tumwater. I think people are sleeping on this East Valley Yakima team. I think after this weekend, Jason, I think people will realize East Valley's they've got 5 college dudes on their defense. I mean, this is a lot like Mount Tahoma. Lots and lots of seniors. They are big and physical and tough to run the football on. I think they're going to beat Linden, and I think they're going to give Tumwater, if Tumwater prevails this weekend, I think they'll give Tumwater all it can handle next weekend. And I don't want to sleep on Anacortes either. I think they're the one team with their style and Ryan Harrington that if they can get by Ording and play Archbishop Murphy in the semifinals, if they can just give that quarterback a little more time, it could be interesting. So I don't want to pencil those two teams in. I know they're the favorites based on seeding, and Archbishop Murphy's the favorite to win it all. But I think those two teams that they could potentially meet in the semifinals could give them fits.
All right, there is not only does Todd and the whole crew over there have a whole bracket previews and breakdowns, 4A, 3A. We did a little bit of 2A, 1A. We got 2B, we got 1B. He does it all. I mean, it's unbelievable, the work that Todd and Lauren Smith do there at varsitywanews.com. Also, I would check out this week's Varsity Wa podcast, the midweek edition, which is available. Matt Evans is on there, Computer Rankings, Eric Curley, former GK coach. You got a fantastic interview with Chase Webster, the Olympic running back who is the state's leading rusher. They preview all the games. And then Todd, I would assume like last week, you'll have the Varsity Wa podcast, the late night, come out tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yes. Okay. We'll have it Saturday night, hopefully by 11 o'clock.
Okay. You're the best. I'm going to try to make it over to Bellevue Lakes. I can do old school, like, back in the KJR days and phone you in if you need an update from there. But I'm going to go check out the old Wolverines and see what they can do against Dave Miller and the Lakes team. Todd, great stuff. Great work as always. Go get yourself a subscription. $5 a month, folks. You're not going to be disappointed with all this coverage. VarsityWanews.com. Thanks, Todd. We'll talk to you next week, the semifinals.
Appreciate it, Jason, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Yeah, you as well. All right, coming up next, Last Word with Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times. Seahawks and Titans coming up on Sunday. What does Bob think that game's going to shake out to be? Find out next.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
Prepare well, your team is probably going to play well. You're not always going to win, but they're going to play hard, They're going to go out there and give good performance. You can live with that.
Today we're going to talk about our next opponent.
Chuck Knox, the former Seahawks coach, he brings us in as he always does every single Friday. Last word with Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times. You can follow him on social media at B Condotta. All brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, makers of Manny's Pale Ale, Bodie Zaffa, Rogers Pilsner, and their new, it's been around now for over a year and a half, their Tavern Beer Tasting Room, Beer Garden, open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Visit them at georgetownbeer.com. We always come in every show with Chuck Knox, and Chuck Knox had one of the best ones, in safety, Kenny Easley, and we lost him at the age of 66 this past Saturday, Bob. He was, for some who didn't get to see him play, and you from a younger audience to describe what Kenny Easley was, I tend to always say, and I think a lot of people use it, maybe for new Seahawks fans. If you took Cam Chancellor and you put him and Earl Thomas together and just created a player, like that's kind of what he was like. He was physical, he was big, he was fast. He had the best shoulder pads in the world, Bob. But he was just a heck of a football player.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I was thinking exactly that as you were asking that. I was like, that's the exact comparison I've made. He was enough of a playmaker. He returned. He had 10 interceptions in 1984 when he was NFL Defensive Player of the Year, returned 2 for pick sixes. He returned punts for a while, which everybody regretted probably because that was how he got hurt initially, was returning a kick. But he was just a phenomenal athlete. I was reminded, I sadly had to write an obit about him on Saturday and doing some research during the day. And he punted for a game at UCLA when he was there. Apparently something happened with their punter and they had him come in and punt. And, he memorably blocked a punt on special teams when he was with UCLA. One of his first big moments there to beat the Huskies in a game in kind of a famous Husky game in 1978. But yeah, he was just a great athlete, became a really good golfer in his, once he was done playing. But yeah, I actually was lucky enough to cover his Hall of Fame induction in 2017. The one time I've covered one of the Seahawks Hall of Fame inductions, and it was really nice to see. I know people, and I had to write about it too in the story. You sort of have to tell his story accurately. You have to tell about sort of the estrangement he had from the team and what happened there. But he had definitely come full circle on that. He had mended fences with the organization. Some of that was due to his family. He talked about, his family was like, Dad, this would be a great thing for us to be able to participate in this with you and share your football career with you, since they weren't around for it the first time. But to be at the Hall of Fame, be at the retirement number ceremonies and stuff like that. He had kind of gotten ill in the last few months. He had not been out here for the 50th anniversary or for the 50th team stuff they did for the Tampa Bay game. And unfortunately this wasn't completely unexpected. He had several kind of health issues through the years, but yeah, he was kind of a prototype new safety there in the 1980s. He and Ronnie Lott, who went in the same draft. And, the story was always that the 49ers were going to take Kenny Easley if they hadn't taken Ronnie Lott, and they had done all kinds of research on Easley, thinking the Seahawks are probably going to take Ronnie Lott, and they switched it, but you weren't going to go wrong either way.
Yeah, one of the best. If you never saw him play, do yourself a favor, pull up some YouTube highlights and just watch him hit. How fast he was, physical, just the complete package, and then you're going to be blown away the size of the man's shoulder pads. No one wore bigger shoulder pads than the great Kenny Easley. All right, let's get to the Seahawks. They are heavy favorites this week against Tennessee. 13.5 point favorites. For you gambling addicts out there, you probably know this out there, that the Seahawks, they're the best team this year in covering the spread, by the way, and the Titans are the worst team in the NFL. So this is maybe a get-right game for all of you out there that want to make up some money. This seems like a get-right game for one particular guy, and that would be Sam Darnold, coming off a very rough outing against the Rams. And I think everybody, Bob, acknowledges doesn't really matter what he does against Tennessee or in the next few games. It's going to be what is he going to do and perform in that rematch against the Rams on December 18th? You've observed him this week. How has Sam Darnold carried himself in your eyes?
Yeah, he's been the Sam Darnold I say always in the 3 or 4 months he's been the Seahawks starting quarterback here, but that we've seen the whole time he has been with the Seahawks. He is a very even-keeled personality. That's something everybody said from the start was one of the things everybody liked about him. He doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low. He sort of approaches every day the same. So I don't think he's wavered on that at all. And I think you saw that with how he rallied the team on those last couple drives on Sunday. I think that's kind of the answer a little bit to how is he going to respond. I mean, he had to respond in the moment there, and he almost brought him back to win the game. So, I think that speaks kind of volumes about him, and I think that helps answer the question of what you're going to see coming forward. But I'm never a believer that style points matter in the NFL. It is really hard to win NFL games. This isn't college football where you're playing some team that you should just be physically better than. That you're almost never just physically better than some NFL team, and you can just kind of dictate the score. But I do think style points matter a tiny bit for the Seahawks in this one, and especially just with their offense. I think they need to feel like they can play sort of a clean, efficient, turnover-free game and take care of business sort of easily when they have the opportunity to do so, because it's not just the Rams game. They've been having some injury, or some turnover issues. They have the most turnovers in the NFL. The Houston game got a lot closer than it needed to because of some turnovers that they had, and it has kind of come back to bite them here a little bit. So, going into this stretch, and especially that last 4-game stretch, I think they need to feel like the offense is getting to a point where it's it's still putting up great numbers, So that's kind of the other thing about it, but I do feel like they need to play a good clean game in this one.
It'll be interesting how they will change their attack offensively next time they play the Rams, and I wonder if they use this next few weeks of kind of not game planning specifically for the Rams, but ramping up maybe I don't know what it is, Bob, a different style, a different attack against them, but I think that is going to be the biggest question, I think, for this offense. And I think for Sam Darnold moving forward, it's, you can beat all these other teams, and they've done a great job. They've had a fantastic season. But that one team they need to get through is the Rams. And I think you can look at it, I think, 2 different ways how they performed, a week ago. One would be, the glass half full and say, hey, we almost beat them despite turning it over 4 times. I guess the glass half empty would be, yeah, but I mean, do we trust the quarterback in a big game? And that just seems to be a narrative, good or bad, right? That just doesn't seem like it's going to go away anytime soon for him.
Yeah, definitely. It was the one going into the game was the couple of games against the Rams last year, and then Detroit as well. He basically played with the Vikings. He lost to 2 teams last year, but he lost to each of them twice. So they each kind of had his number. They were each good, really good teams. So that definitely became the narrative following him. I think that was played into a tiny bit into Minnesota's decision. I think Minnesota's decision was probably largely just J.J. McCarthy and them wanting to go with him. But I do think I played into it. If they'd gone to the Super Bowl last year, it would have been really hard to have made that same decision. And so when they didn't do that, it made it a lot easier to, move away from Sam and give it to J.J. McCarthy. Kind of looking my view on the Rams game a little bit and what you would want to do next time going forward is, if you can get the running game going a little better, so you can take some of the pressure off, and they got it going in spurts here and there, but if you can get that going a little bit better. The other thing is, I think more quicker passes. I think the Rams kind of tried to bait Sam Darnold a little bit into some of these things. You heard them talk later about how they thought he was going to want to get rid of the ball more quickly, but get rid of the ball in general because of the 9 sacks he had taken in the game last year. And so that they thought that this time he's going to want to throw it. He's not going to want to take a sack. And so if we can get pressure on him, and then he's throwing up some harried passes, that he's not going to want to take the sack, basically. And I think you kind of saw that twice where he did do that last interception where he was, definitely should have just tried to eat that or just try to throw it out of bounds or something, but do something else than what he did there. And then even the one on the sidelines where he was getting hit as he threw it, maybe that's one as well. If he could have read that coming a little more quickly and just kind of dirt that ball or something like that too, and don't throw it up for grabs. But I think they thought, if we can pressure him, he's going to want to get rid of it. He's going to throw it up for grabs a couple times. And I think that was their game plan. and so the Seahawks need to counter that if they can, maybe just quicker passes or, Sam's got to read that stuff a little bit better to get away from it. But, and then I still think the Achilles heel for this team, for as good as it is just the running game. I do feel like to get through the gauntlet of the playoffs, they're going to have a game there maybe where they can rely on it. And I think to win the NFC West, they're probably going to have to do that too, to get through the rest of the games they have.
You think they'll start altering the number of carries? I think McDonald hinted at it this week. Maybe we see more of a bulk of Walker moving forward, and it would just lead you to believe that they didn't they wanted to have the carries be split in the beginning of the season, not to wear him out. And I get it. I get the line of thinking, a guy that's been dealing with injuries. But I guess, do we think his workload now increases starting this week against Tennessee? At least that's what it came across from Mike McDonald.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with this specific game is if they do take a big lead, then it might not. Hopefully you look at the box score on Monday. If they do kind of get this one comfortably, the way they ought to be able to, maybe then it might not look right that way. Yeah. But I do think in general there's been a little bit of a split, right, in how they've used Walker and Charbonnet, and it's really clear like Charbonnet's been the short yardage guy and the red zone guy and stuff like that. And I think it's maybe more using Walker more in those kind of situations. I think they felt like that's a really good use of Charbonnet's skills of just running between the tackles. He hits it quick. Walker, as we all know, has a little bit of propensity for wanting to try to bounce stuff outside sometimes and try to make something more out of things and sometimes turning it into less and things like that. And, I think they've tried to get Walker out of that. So I think you've seen Walker kind of get more carries on first down and things like that and in non 2-minute situations. But I thought in that, I didn't take McDonald's thing as just carries, because he made a point to talk about Walker as a receiver and how, I think he had 3 receptions for 44 yards in that game and the good job he did as a check down receiver in that. And so I think they like that aspect of it too, that he is a guy that if you can just, on some of those, if the other team's bringing everybody, if Sam can just get it to Ken Walker with one guy to beat on the side of the field or something like that, that's a potentially great situation. So again, I don't know that this necessarily means he's going to get 25 carries, but I think his overall, the way they use him could just increase some.
All right. Well, we've got to get to the biggest story of the week, and the good news coming out at least yesterday. He was limited in his participation in practice. I talked to Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network on Thursday's show. His line was they dodged a bullet with the Grey Zabel potential injury. Boy, it sounds like if he practiced yesterday, Bob, there might be a good chance Grey Zabel sees the field Sunday against Tennessee.
Yeah, for sure. They've admitted a couple times this year that they've sort of let their decisions on this kind of be like, well, for the long haul, and like what they did with Julian Love and things like that. So who knows? Maybe he could be well enough to play, and then they get to Sunday and they're like, maybe we can let him rest and get to next week kind of thing and make sure it doesn't get worse. So I don't necessarily take, we've seen a couple times where guys have come back, they've practiced a little bit, then they haven't played on Sunday because they've sort of made a longer range decision. So we'll have to see on whether he plays or not. But for sure, the fact that he's out there at all doing anything is for the long term is obviously the best news there. And Mike McDonald pretty frankly said the same thing about how it could have been a lot worse, and they got the good news. They got good news on Monday with the imaging that it wasn't a serious injury, and they had definitely worried that it could be. So getting Christian Haynes, it's interesting. He's sort of a guy they made a decent amount of an investment with the 3rd round pick last year, and this is maybe a chance where they're forced to use him a little bit and see what they can get out of him. And that the one drive he had to play, you couldn't have asked for a tougher situation to get thrown into, and he certainly, those are hard ones to grade when it's so chaotic like that, and you're kind of running a different kind of offense than you're usually going to run. But it was at least good for them if he does have to play this week that he did play a little bit last week, so he'll know a little bit, he'll be a little bit better prepared for it.
On the injury front, though, news again continues not to be good for Tory Horton. Doesn't look like he's going to play again. And again, it just has not been healthy all season long.
Yeah, you're right. He kind of entered the season a little bit. He was healthy for about a month there. He had a good stretch when he did do some things. He still had the five touchdown catches, but yeah, and unfortunately, this was a little bit of his MO and somewhat of why he did fall to the 5th round was the health concerns and just he's not the biggest guy maybe in the world in terms of handling or in terms of enduring NFL punishment, things like that. The 17 game season it can be a lot to get through. The good news is this is where Rashid Shaheed comes into the picture. And so at least they do sort of with him in there, they kind of have an able replacement for that now. And you basically have your top 3 receivers and then you fill it out with the guys at the bottom of the receiving thing of how many you want to have out there. So, they've kind of gone with 4 a couple of times here now, I think. So they could easily do that again. And they have Shaheed as a returner, obviously, as well. And you have Cody White, again, who can handle some of that stuff too. And so that's the good news is they sort of have a plan B there for how to replace him.
Okay, there he is. The Last Word with Bob Condotta every Friday with us, all brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. Check out their tasting room, beer garden. It's open every single day, Monday through Friday. Opens up at 10 a.m. and it closes at 8 o'clock. Try all their great beer, Bodhisattva, Tavern Beer, Pilsner, Rogers Pilsner, and, of course, Manny's Lucille. They got it all. Great beer selection for one and all. Safe travels to Tennessee. We will not talk to you next week at our regularly scheduled time. So let's get together. We'll figure out maybe a time we can maybe record something before Friday or Thursday or Friday. Happy Thanksgiving, Bob, to you and your family, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
There is Bob Condotta, the Last Word. With us every single Friday, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. Also, Friday Night Lights with Todd Milles, brought to you by Flat Stick Pub, getting you caught up on all the quarterfinal games coming up in high school football tonight and tomorrow. Speaking of that, we've mentioned this website before, but stspn.com. Again, stspn.com. They're going to have a broadcast tonight of Lake Stevens, or tomorrow, Lake Stevens and Moses Lake. So if you want to watch the game, they do a great job. The Open we did, they put that together. So they do an incredible job there for high school football. And again, that website, stspn.com. Lake Stevens, Moses Lake coming up tomorrow. Should be a real good game. Moses Lake undefeated. Haven't faced someone like Lake Stevens. Lake Stevens just a juggernaut of high school and youth football. It's pretty incredible to watch those guys play. And big thanks to Bob and Todd on this Friday football tailgate show, which is brought to you by Georgetown Brewery and also Flat Stick Pub. All right, we've got Hey What the Puck before we get on out of here for a Friday. On this day, though, November 21st, we start off with a good one. On this date, on November 21st, 1976, ladies and gentlemen. A little movie made its debut in 1976, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Rocky hit the silver screen. The movie was written, of course, directed by Sylvester Stallone, starring Burt Young, Carl Weathers, Burgess Meredith, Taya Shire. Stallone wrote the screenplay in 3 days. The film became the highest-grossing film of 1976, earning $225 million. The budget for the film was $1.1 million. The movie received the 10 Academy Award nominations. It won 3, including Best Picture, there by director Sylvester Stallone. 5 movies in the series. Rocky, 1976. Oh, the best. Rocky, 1976, on this day, November 21st. Also on this date, November 21st, 1989. A law banning smoking on domestic flights was signed into law by President George H.W. Bush. You may notice, though, on some planes still, have the ashtrays on the flights and still in the lavatories. And that's because to this day, the FAA mandates that you have a functioning ashtray in case someone illegally lights up. It's hilarious. Former presidential candidate. You remember this guy, Ralph Nader? Remember Ralph Nader? Ralph Nader was among the first to bring up the idea of banning smoking on airplanes in 1969. In 1971, United Airlines created a non-smoking section, becoming the first airline to do so. If you traveled, my mom worked for the airline industry, worked for Western or Pan Am, Western, Delta Airlines. We flew all the time because back then you could fly for free. And if you worked for the airlines, there was none of these, different clubs and levels of flying at Emerald Club and Gold Club and all that. So when you worked there, we got to fly all the time for free. And my mom was a smoker, and I sat many, many times in the smoking section of the airline. And still thinking to this day, I can't believe they allowed you to smoke on an airplane. It's just amazing. All right, happy birthdays. We got to go out, and we got to start first here with the local guy. Happy 56th birthday to the kid, Ken Griffey Jr. on November 21st, celebrating his birthday. 13-time All-Star, 1997 American League MVP, 10-time Gold Glover, of course, a member of the Hall of Fame, and for me, the greatest baseball player that I have ever seen, but will probably get bumped over for Shohei Ohtani. Still, as a kid, still the best I've ever seen. Also on this day, Troy Aikman. Happy birthday to Troy Aikman, the Bruin. Turns 59 today. Hall of Fame quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. 2-time Super Bowl MVP. Winner of the Super Bowl 3 different times. Over on the movies, Goldie Hawn is 80 today. God, I love Goldie Hawn. Private Benjamin. How about Overboard with Kurt Russell, her husband? And, of course, one of the greatest movies of all time, football movies of all time. She was a head coach in Wildcats. Also on this day, happy birthday to director Harold Ramis, 81 today. Movie collection, you know them all, probably by heart. Groundhog Day, Ghostbusters, National Lampoon's Vacation, and, of course, Caddyshack. On this day, November 21st. Hey, What the Puck is brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Your restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when those damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Sunday indeed needs to be a get-right game for Seattle. Not that they need to necessarily get anything right in terms of looking ahead. But you look about what they did. Say anything wrong against the Rams other than Sam Darnold having a rough game last week. Get right game in terms of the running game. We talked about that with Bob Condotta. This is something that needs to get better for them. They need to have a game in which they can establish the run. It needs to start this weekend against Tennessee. They're a much better football team than this Tennessee Titans team. They got one victory. It was against Arizona. They haven't won a single game at home. This is where they need to pound the rock with Ken Walker. Make him the feature back, get him as many carries as you can in the first half, and start establishing that identity on the ground. As Bob said earlier, that identity on the ground needs to get established to carry them over into the playoffs, and it's a perfect spot to do it this weekend against the Titans. That's Hey, What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle, your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when those damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them at restoration1.com. All right, thank you for everyone watching and listening today. Big thanks to all the sponsors as always. Limback Lumber, Flat Stick Pub, Georgetown Brewery, Restoration One. We couldn't do this show every single day without your support, so thank you for that. Big thanks to all of Jim's sponsors on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Angry Beaver, big thanks to Matt Baker, Brotherton Cadillac, thank you, Brad, and, of course, Brian Turner, the OG. From a Clean Streak, and also Bright Owl Lighting. Don't let yourself do the Christmas lights. Have the fine folks at Bright Owl Lighting do it for you. You can find today's Daily Puck Drop up on YouTube. When you're there, please subscribe to the channel, like the channel, pass it along. You may watch the channel, and that's great. tons of you watch it, but you may not be subscribed to the channel. Nothing's going to happen. You're not going to get any spam. You're not going to get any emails, nothing. But just subscribe to the channel, please. We put all of our shows up there. We break out all the segments and if you just want to watch Bob Condotta, you just want to watch Todd Milles. Hey, I don't have time to watch the whole thing, but I want to watch Michael Sean Dugar, Danny Kelly, or John Canzano, Mike Garafolo. They're all separated there for you, in addition to all of the live shows being put up there as well. Also, you can find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple and Spotify. And please go visit PuckSports.com. Sign up to become a member of the Pucks Posse. $5 a month is all it costs you. You support all the free daily shows that we do here and support moving forward. Plus, we give you bonus shows every single week, like KJ Arntz with Mitch Levy on Thursdays and Inside Pitch with Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times. All right, that's it for us. We'll have an abbreviated shows next week. Definitely will be here on Monday, most like on Tuesday. Wednesday's up in the air, of course, with the Thanksgiving holiday. So we won't have shows definitely on Thursday and Friday, but we will have segments starting on Monday, and we'll have some of our regular guests, and we'll tape them early and put them out there on all platforms. Everybody enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday. As always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you, but you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!